Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cafe Wish Podcast. I am your host, Cabin Black, and this is In the Classroom. And this will be the third episode that I'm going to be working on. My first two episodes covered whiteness in film. And whiteness in film is a piece of my hypothesis that I have been working on called Kemetic-Shemitic hypothesis. And this episode number 3, will be entitled A Gay Like Thee. And this is another piece of my hypothesis. And before we get into the classroom, I just want to kind of just briefly speak freely. So in whiteness in film, I covered many different things pertaining to history, genetics, eugenics, and certain aspects of film, from Hollywood, which is in America, to Bollywood, which is in India, to Bigfoot, which is in the Philippines. Now, I didn't do a deep dive. I did an overview of what my concepts were, what my ideas were focused on for the classroom for whiteness in film. And I also went over different historical facts, once again, facts that are covering things that have happened during slavery, colonization, and then post-colonization, from modernity to contemporary world, which we are living in the contemporary era now. And whiteness in film focuses also on how the images that are displayed in film impact what we see, what we think, what we see and think about ourselves, how it impacts our culture, our ethnicity, our views of our culture and our ethnicity. The thoughts of what whiteness is versus what blackness is, and once again, all in between. So now this new classroom piece that I'm going to be beginning working on is called A Gay Like Thee, and let's get into the class. So the purpose for A Gay Like Thee, THEE, is a play on words dealing with, of course, the Bible, right? I have a background in religion and philosophy. I grew up in the church. So this is not necessarily a jab at the church. It's not necessarily a jab at religions as such, but it's just my take on what it means to be gay in the 21st century, how that relates to antiquity time, and also in the Bible times, which is antiquity time. So I guess let me just get into the class. So I'm going to look at some scripture. Hopefully that doesn't offend anybody. But I want to use the scripture as a point of reference. Once again, this is not a deep dive. This is an overview. The deep dives for my In the Classroom, CWP Cafe Wish Podcast In the Classroom, the deep dives will come later, at a later time and date, right? I'm doing things in stages and in phases. So I'm not necessarily going to be doing a deep dive every time I'm doing a classroom. I need to build up to the deep dive. So I have to do things orderly and decent. So for me, that will be doing things stages and phases. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into the scripture here. All right, so I'm going to read from the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 23, verse 1. And it reads, "He that is wounded in the stones, or have his privy member cut off, shall not enter into the congregation of the Lord. So what is this talking about? Someone who has been castrated. So a male who has been castrated, has been wounded in the stones, or have his privy member cut off, shall not enter into the congregation of the Lord. So having his stones wounded is also going into, if this male, let me say it that way, this male has his testicles damaged, or something has occurred to his testicles. Wounded is going into affliction, illness. So this can be a disease, this can be a cancer, this could be having the male's testicles ripped off, chopped off, cut off. Or if he is sterile, this can go into that as well. If he's been sterilized, or he is sterile, or a male is sterile. Let me say it that way. If a male is sterile, this can apply to that as well. At the same time, this scripture is alluding or going in the direction of castration, which is called a eunuch. So I'll read the scripture one more time and then I'll move on to another scripture. Okay, the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 23, verse 1. It reads, "He that is wounded in the stones, or have his privy member cut off, shall not enter into the congregation of the Lord." So if this male is wounded in his testicles, or has his testicles and or penis chopped off, if this male has their member, their privy member, their testicles or penis chopped off, their male unit removed, they are not welcomed into the congregation of the Lord. Okay. Now let's move on to another scripture. This is coming from the book of Matthew, or from the gospel according to Matthew. This will be Matthew chapter 19, verses chapter 10. Okay. Matthew chapter 19, verses 10. I will read, and the scripture reads, "His disciples say unto him, If the case of the man be so with his wife, it is not good to marry." Verse 11, "But he said unto them, All men cannot receive this saying, save they to whom it is given." So what's the context here? So let me read up a little bit, and I'm going to start at chapter 3. So the book of Matthew, or the gospel according to Matthew, chapter 19, verse 3. "The Pharisees also came unto him, tempting him, and saying unto him, Is it lawful for a man to put away his wife for every cause?" Verse 4. "And he answered and said unto them, Have ye not read that he which made them at the beginning made them male and female?" Verse 5. "And said, For this cause shall a man leave father and mother, and shall cleave to his wife, and they twain shall be one flesh." Verse 6. "Wherefore there are no more twain, but one flesh. What therefore God hath joined together, let no man put asunder." Verse 7. "They say unto him, Why did Moses then command to give a writing of divorcement, and to put her away?" Verse 8. "He saith unto them, Moses, because of the hardness of your hearts, suffered you to put away your wives, but from the beginning it was not so." Verse 9. "And I say unto you, whosoever shall put away his wife, except it be for fornication, and shall marry another, committeth adultery. And whoso marrieth her which is put away doth commit adultery. Verse 10. His disciples say unto him, if the case of the man be so with his wife, it is not good to marry. But, verse 11, but he said unto them, all men cannot receive this saying, save they to whom it is given. Verse 12. For there are, verse 11, but he said unto them, all men cannot receive this saying, save they to whom it is given. Verse 12. For there are some eunuchs which were, verse 12. For there are some eunuchs which were so born from their mother's womb, and there are some eunuchs which were made eunuchs of men, and there be eunuchs which have made themselves eunuchs for the kingdom of heaven's sake. He that is able to receive it, let him receive it. I'll read that one more time. Verse 12. The Gospel according to Matthew, the Gospel according to Matthew, chapter 19, verse 12. It reads, for there are some eunuchs which were so born from their mother's womb. That's one type of eunuch. And there are some eunuchs which were made eunuchs of men. That's another type of eunuch. And there be eunuchs which have made themselves eunuchs for the kingdom of heaven's sake. That's a third type of eunuch. He that is able to receive it, let him receive it. So I'm going to stop reading scripture from this point on, and now I'm going to move into a different direction in the classroom. But I'm going to allude, or I'm going to go back to the scripture just to recapture what is being said here in reference to a gay like thee. So the title of the class, once again, is a gay like thee. Okay. So now I'm going to look at some historical studies. Jesus, Christ of Nazareth, mentioned eunuchs. So I'm going to look at some historical references. So the chief eunuch of the Ottoman Empire, Haram. This is coming from Institute for Advanced Study. So once again, this is coming from Institute for Advanced Study, ias.edu. The title is called Historical Studies, the Chief Eunuch of the Ottoman Imperial Haram. Now, before I get into this, I know I said I'm not going to read the scripture, but allude to it. Let me rephrase what I said earlier. I'm going to read one more. And this is coming from the book of Acts, chapter 8, verse 26. And it reads, and the angel of the Lord spake unto Philip, saying, arise, and go toward the south unto the way that goeth down from Jerusalem unto Gaza, which is desert. Verse 27. And he arose and went.